The Scum Villain Self-Saving System. Extra Chapter. Airplane's Fortuitous Encounter, Part 1. Airplane shooting towards the sky was a stallion novel writer. A relatively reputable stallion novel writer. A stallion novel writer who, even on the Zhongdian novel site with writing deities running all over the place and lesser writers sprouting up like grass on prime soil, was spoken of by others with some frequency. That perseverance in cramming 3 years' worth of work into one, releasing 10,000 words a day with expert speed and willpower, those periodic 8-chapter burst releases, that daring energy engulfing the whole country. To those writers who had followed the same path up from openly prostrating themselves on the streets, it was a legend only to be glimpsed but not attained, a myth that would take audiences but not demands. Those harem episodes which had their integrity eaten by dogs, as well as those storylines which had their IQ eaten by dogs, merely signified the defining characteristics of his style, which was enthusiastically discussed by his millions of readers. Regarding his works, the most common assessment was, a mindless book. Of course, it's a mindless book. But what a satisfying read! That's right, Airplane Flying Towards the Sky's newest masterpiece, Proud Immortal Demon Way, was that typical kind of novel with many haters but even more fans. This sort of plaything was collectively known to everyone as a red book with no reputation. The people who liked it loved it, and the people who hated it could stomp it into shit and spit on it several times without satisfying their hatred. This type of controversial work would always be a prime breeding ground for people picking fights. For example, right at this moment, while Airplane Shooting Towards the Sky was mindlessly hammering out today's new chapter, he opened up a certain well-known novel forum, ready to spout nonsense to freeload points. He hurriedly swept his eyes over the page, but the first glance made him shudder, having landed on a trending post with an aggressive title bearing his pen name and the title of his book fiercely bobbing up and down on the home page. This was not the first time he had been on the scene while people were fighting over his works. As always, Airplane Shooting Towards the Sky didn't hesitate to join in on the excitement, gleefully clicking on the link. Sure enough, it was a familiar recipe with familiar taste. Number 1. 10 years of reading sharpens one sword OP. After reading novelfuls for close to 10 years, I've never seen a cultivation novel as rotten as Proud Immortal Demon Way. Ah wait, spending day and night eating, sleeping, and collecting sisters, and you fucking tell me this is a cultivation novel? The logic can go die, the writing style can go die, and the author can bleep with it. Last year I bought a pack. Rage. People who like this book come here and tell me, what part of it do you even like? What sort of mindset do you have to be in? How much do you have to hate everyone else to recommend this book? I really can't bear it, I'm done. Number 2. Your infatuated pupil. I've wanted to roast for a long time. Sweating, is there even any meaning to the ranking system? There's no difference between the golden core in the nascent soul stage and in normal people. Every time I see more writing about eating food and sleeping, I can't bear to continue. It's really just spare decoration. And face slapping once or twice is alright, but if you face slap 1,000 times in the same way, it's really just boring. In short, it's simply not as cool as they say. There's a bit of an Amway Scum feeling to the whole thing. Anyways, this book's fans are very swift and fierce. I'd estimate they're going to gang up on you soon. Best of luck OP, I'll send you a pot lid, I'm out. Number 3. Swordsman must say. The writing is shit. All its readers are idiots. Number 4. This sin cannot be forgiven. Who are you calling an idiot up there? What a low character. Number 5. Taking red for green, one after another. Before I jabbed open this post, I knew it would be going in this sort of direction. Every time people start chatting about this book, they start arguing. I've never seen a single exception. Pull up a chair and watch the fun. Number 6. This sin cannot be forgiven. I'm bored to death of you guys arguing every time. What's there to argue about? Just because you don't like it doesn't mean other people won't like it. It's really simple logic. If you like it, then read it. If not, then get lost. Write your own story. You understand? OP started spewing BS before they even finished. What's the point of spewing BS just for the sake of spewing? Number 7. 10 years of reading sharpens one sword. Watch and see, kiddos. We've even gotten a you can you up. This is really just rubbing the dog's head. Kid, read novels for a few more years. Is it really good for you to waste your time on the forums before break? If you can't finish your homework, watch out, or your teacher's going to tell your parents. Just because you like it doesn't mean other people will like it. I'm quoting your own words back to you. Also, I don't need to finish eating a ball of shit before I realize it's a ball of shit, okay? Number 8. Xie Hualing's Little Bell. Heart, drooling, I don't think it's as rotten as OP says. I like reading this book. I like Sister Shat. Hugh. Number 9. Peerless Cucumber Expert. I understand what OP is thinking. Lately, I've been reading this book straight through. It's so damn long, and pumped full of filler. I've never seen villains with a lower IQ than the ones in this book. The average cannon fodder has an IQ of 40 and the protagonists have an IQ of 60. It's like the author went on a 24-hour face-slapping craze without losing steam. Most of the female protagonists are stupid flower vases, and you don't even push down Lu Minjian, the only righteous one? You don't push down the righteous empress, are you fucking kidding me? Airplane, hand over the girlfriends, I'll eat this book raw. All my fellow readers have already roasted it for 300,000 words, so I'll stop talking. In fact, the most interesting thing are the monsters of the demon realm. It'd be best if those were written about more. The rest is just throwing 50 sisters into the family, each one doesn't even have a distinguishable personality. The writing style is so weird, each time a woman appears her soft chest trembled. You could at least try a different phrase for shivering mud, a different word would be fine. Seriously, what substitute teacher taught airplane literature in elementary school? At least the portrayal of the male lead was alright. The transformation from innocent and upstanding to hateful and sinister was detailed and natural. Debts of kindness and grudges were paid off. Those who should have been killed were mercilessly killed. Seeing that sort of lovey-dovey male lead just makes me want to steal his girl. Bing Gur deserves that Gur. He's cool enough and blackened enough. I like it. Haha. Shen Qingkai, this cheap person doesn't bear explaining. Number 10. Qingkaiang Mountain Stair Cleaning Manager. Does anyone here like Yu Zhangmin? I like the warm oil attack the most, whispering, silently passing by. Number 11. Warrior's Hammer. Boring. It's not written as well as Immortal XX Battle, the difference is huge. This is what's called a real cultivation novel. Number 12. You, this sin cannot be forgiven. Teacher, trampling on praise feels good, doesn't it? Haha. Number 13. Refusing to be a potholer. The 9th floor's cucumber bro wrote that many words just to hate on it. It must be true love. Number 14. 10 years of reading sharpens one sword. To answer floor 12, I don't dare accept. I'll return the original to you. Are there not that many proud immortal fans who leap up to trample other books? Do you want me to flip through my records for some screenshots to fling in your face? Number 15. Qingkaiang Mountain Gate Guard Platoon. To answer floor 10, does anyone here like Yu Zhangmin, whispering, silently passing by? Grab the sister on floor 10. You're a sister, right? I also like Zhangmin Shixing. I like him a lot. Is there anything more mo than pampering and indulging something with no bottom line? It's a pity the partner was this disastrous shidi. The bad ending was so complete I couldn't read any comfort out of it. Number 16, Dear Brother Kinga. Don't resolve that bitch Shen Qingkai plus 10,086. My god, floor 15 can even mow over this type of scum. I always felt it was a pity that Bai Zhan Peak's Peak Lord died that early. Airplane Juju just refused to write him, or else there would be more CPS to contend with. Number 17. Occasionally filling holes. There's so much info in those last few levels. Did this forum get invaded by weirdos? Number 18. Peerless Cucumber Expert. Upstairs, calm down. This form has a lot of green ding ding net sisters sunglasses. Number 19 A stately waiter. It really is true love for Cucumber Bro, it's just the stuff he spews here isn't as vicious as what he puts in the reviews. Not malicious enough, poor evaluation. Number 20, hoeing wheat is my noontime occupation. The proud immortal fans are here to stir up trouble again. I see this book everywhere, it makes me want to puke. This book's quality isn't worth this much passion. If you say Airplane didn't invite the Navy, I wouldn't believe it. Sit and wait for the next time the Skill Emperor opens an invitation, look and you'll know if he got a ticket or not. Number 21 Hoeing wheat is my noontime occupation. To answer floor 4, who are you calling an idiot up there? What a low character. You're joking, the school kids who like to read rotten books like Proud Immortal have the nerve to talk about character. No one has as low a character as you. Number 22 Dear Brother Kinga. Because those 1 or 2 people firing area cannons are all drunk. Seeing floor 20 stir up the discussion, isn't this trumpeting for landlord? Not to speak of anything else, just look at Airplane's update rate. 10k every day and 25k on the weekends, how many people can do it? First put the question of quality to the side. Number 23 Looking for hungry friends at the North Pole every day. This fan wrote some Bingur x Scum Shen / don't know if anyone wants to see. It's so painful, mo over a cold CP is like going to the North Pole. I'm also just courting death looking for CP in a Zhong Dian novel. Number 24 Keng Kyang Mountain Stair Cleaning Manager. The / writing sister, don't go. Is it with the 8th letter Lord? Please woo. Number 25 Occasionally filling holes. Airplane really doesn't know how to write romance plotlines, best if he just doesn't. I feel like Luo Bing he doesn't have feelings for any of his wives, he just wants to use them. And I can't see any of those women with real emotion for him. Number 26 Warrior's Hammer. As long as he collects all the sisters it's fine, it's whatever if there's emotion or not. Number 26 Peerless Cucumber Expert. Filling holes bro on floor 25, you're joking, you want Airplane not to write the harem? 2/3 of the book would be gone. Number 27 Taking red for green, one after another. But I feel like I can see which peak lord has real emotion for which peak lord, hoping for the skies. Seriously speaking, the scenes he wrote with emotional interactions between brothers were all much more exquisite and natural than Bingur's scenes with his wives. They practically contain deep love visible to the bare eyes. Airplane really is a natural expert Fudanchi. P.S. The sister on floor 24, beggars can't be choosers. Number 28 Hoeing wheat is my noontime occupation. This level was blocked due to personal attack, currently waiting for writer to edit. While stirring his instant noodles with one leg propped up, Airplane shooting towards the sky Juju, nonchalantly rolled the scroll wheel on his mouse, scheming over the forum posts. His eyes automatically highlighted every message from that familiar ID, Peerless Cucumber. Black sniping like a running stream, a cucumber made of iron. Even though this famous Lord Cucumber would constantly spew criticism without end in his review sections, his subscriptions and urges for updates never slowed a bit. Because of this, he always suspected that this person was a masochist. Very good, you have successfully attracted my attention. Like some sort of tyrant chairman, Airplane Juju began to nonchalantly observe Cucumber Bro's bluster in the review sections. In the end, he concluded, it's just like if a woman was married to a disappointing husband, itching to ride on his back, grab him by the neck and shake him, kissing and spitting on him with mixed love and hate. Peerless Cucumber was locked in precisely this kind of inextricable chase while giving a loathing "why can't I control this damn author of the novel I chose to read?" An upright body with a mouth full of resentment. Airplane Juju laid down his final conclusion and smacked his computer table, howling with laughter. This one smack was disastrous. The instant noodles toppled over, splashing all over his hard-working and meritorious beloved keyboard, spicy broth flowing 1,000 miles. Airplane turned pale with fright, quickly jumping up to rescue it. But, he jumped too high and his foot caught on the power strip. With a crackle, his laptop screen went dark. After this chain reaction of extreme joy turning to sorrow, Airplane's face went deathly white. WTFFFFFF. He was just scrolling forums while downloading movies and padding his word count, his file was still open. Fuck, he couldn't have lost today's update just like this, he'd gotten to 8,000 Ah. He subconsciously threw himself down next to the power strip, picking up the wire to shove it back in the socket. And experienced firsthand what could be called electricity running through the whole body, godly thunder from the ninth heaven. End chapter. The Scum Villain Self-Saving System. Extra Chapter. Airplane's Fortuitous Encounter, Part 2. What are you daydreaming about, fool? Get to work. Airplane shooting towards the sky. Juju spat out the green foxtail hanging from his mouth with a paw. He mentally waved 1,000 middle fingers and yelled 1,000 words beginning with F at this fiendish and ding peak Xiāng. Then he turned around with a flowery smile, hardening his face to flounce up to him. Coming. Xiāng spat, hey. This servant only knows how to slack off. Xiāng Tóngxiù, physically a 17-year-old senior outer disciple, trailed behind the main forces to unload the goods from the ship onto the docks, looking around in all directions. That's right, Airplane Juju was now called Xiāng Tóngxiù. He had written this wretched vile character in his stallion novel with his own hands. The treacherous spy, the one who assiduously worked an outside job for Mo Baijun all his life, only to be thrown away by his cold-hearted and unfeeling boss as soon as he was done with him. That cannon fodder, logistics manager, Xiāng Tóngxiù. No, at this time, he was still an outer disciple that could be pushed around by everyone on Anding Peak. Not yet the head disciple, he hadn't changed his name to enter the Qing generation. Anding Peak, in itself, was a very suffocating sort of peak. The Anding Peak Lord was like the director of the housekeeping service center, very suffocating. Even when leading disciples, he was like an unpaid hourly worker, also suffocating. The outer disciples especially didn't bear any mention. They were at the lowest end of the food chain, the most suffocated of the suffocated. Everyone had large amounts of pent-up anger. Those with more seniority bullied those with less, that was the normal state of things. Xiāng Tóngxiù would occasionally utter a silent curse. Just wait until this lord take the peak lord's seat, then see if I won't, hee. However, he quickly extinguished these types of vain fantasies. Think about it, taking the peak lord's seat equals having assistance from the demon realm equals Mo Baijun as boss equals end result, getting thrown away by your boss as soon as he's done with you, not even getting a good death. It went without saying not worth it. If Xiāng Tóngxiù could follow his original wishes, he would strip off his sect robes and roll up his bedding, rush out of Qingqiang Mountain sect, escape the cultivation world, and rush towards a free life of poverty. Just relying on the pile of resources he collected to write a transmigration stallion novel in the past, such as how to make soap, glass, the abacus, he believed that he could create quite a good simple life, flowing with the winds and the waters, a prosperous and dazzling Xiāng Tóngxiù. Note, Xiāng Tóngxiù was a renowned financier and politician in Macau. But, as soon as these types of thoughts arose in his mind. Rule violation, point deduction. Tell me, what is the meaning of this? So, what if he transmigrated into his own stallion novel, why wasn't he the protagonist? So, what if he wasn't the protagonist, why was there this damned system? It was all that Op's fault. If he didn't start sniping, he wouldn't have gotten injured. And there was that peerless cucumber, may he never get a chance to use that cucumber his whole life. Xiāng Tóngxiù moved box after box of heavy books from the ship onto a flatbed cart. Hooking up the horse, he was still chewing over his grudges without end. These small things like shipping goods would normally be settled with a wave of the hand in cultivation novels. Looking at it this way and that, in the end, he could only blame himself. Damn it, no matter how low magic the setting was, the hard labor still had to be done firm and steady. In the end, he dug this pit for himself. Okay, in fact, what he really wanted to say was, Qing Jing Peak really fucking knows how to toss people around. It's them who make the most trouble. If one was ordered to help Xianshu Peak's female celestials and fairy maidens carry cosmetics, hairpins, new clothes, and whatnot, though it is a bit tiring, at least you feel sweet at heart. Hardship on the body, softness in the heart. But, acting as porters for Qing Jing Peak, what's up with that? Every time they made a purchase, it would be hundreds and hundreds of kilograms of books. Then, they would make people from Nding Peak huff and puff their way down the mountain to fetch them, then huff and puff their way back up to the peak. All while they're living the good life, their butts don't leave their seats, their fingers don't leave their instruments, just sitting and waiting for the goods to get delivered to their door. What are you playing aloof for? If you have the ability, then come down and get this yourself. The other outer disciples were also complaining. We know well and clear those Qing Jing Peak disciples look down on us from Nding Peak, but time and again we still act as cows and horses for them. One person said indignantly, especially that Shen King Kaiu. He takes himself way too seriously. His eyes are growing on top of his head. Even if that Shiuya sword has a bit of a name, this really is too arrogant. He would even dare to provoke Bai Zhan's head disciple Lu Qingge. How would he pay attention to nameless foot soldiers like us? That temper of Bai Zhan Peak, that temper of Lu Qingge, how has he not killed him yet? How could that be? Do you think Yu Shixing would just watch and not stop him? With him there, Lu Qingge couldn't kill Shen King Kaiu no matter what. An outer disciple who also entered Kengkayang Mountain overage said sourly, and I don't know how Shen King Kaiu got chosen as head disciple after starting cultivation halfway. They say he had a good relationship with Yu Shixing, but I've never seen him go to Kayangding Peak to see Yu Shixing's damn mask of a noble and virtuous face. But if you say they're not friendly, it doesn't seem like it either. Shang Qinghua kept his silence, unbearably stifled. How I want to gossip. How I want to take the backstory outline I set up but ended up killing before birth and toss it in your face. No one's more clear about these old affairs of years past than this Juju who can hide the sky with one hand. The whole party's grievances rushed towards the sky like a broken record. The more they talked, the angrier they got, envy and hatred mixing into a torrent, but who knows who they were trying to argue with. Shang Qinghua shrank back, driving the cart, as the mess of conversation rushed over in a laughing frenzy, cautiously not inserting a word. Don't mind how enthusiastically they're pouring out their sufferings now, you can't say if they'll secretly go and confess everything that was said today to the targets of the complaints someday in the future. Having a greedy mouth is fun for a while, but once someone reports on you and the other Peak's disciples have their eyes on you, you'll have to pack all that extra food and take it home. Popular opinion was vicious. One shouldn't forget to guard against it. The road after rain was full of potholes. As the wheels rolled over it, the cart shook left and right. During one of the tilts, the system sent out a notification with a ding. Upcoming mission, be prepared. Hearing this, Shang Qinghua's face creased into a chrysanthemum. He smiled grovelingly. System Dagger, aren't cheating me a bit by being so brief with these messages every time? Couldn't you clarify what the mission is? What preparations should I do? Prepare for what? At least give me a hint, okay? The system spoke reservedly, you understand. Shang Qinghua. This Lao Tzu doesn't understand. At that time, crack was heard and the flatbed cart suddenly stopped moving, seemingly stuck on something on the ground. The outer disciple Shixing on the cart and those following behind all jolted along with it, swaying side to side. They were already steaming in anger and right away began to smack the rails and curse in rage. You moron! You can't even drive a cart properly. Move already, what are you stopping for? Shang Qinghua didn't know why it would suddenly get stuck either. Puzzled, he jumped off the cart. After a single glance, his soul flew off in fright. The reason why the wheels couldn't move was because the puddle in the hole they were stuck in had frozen into ice, freezing the wooden wheels solid. In the air all around, a formless cold pressed down oppressively. Winter was cold, but Xiāng Tóngxiù's heart was even colder. Shaking uncontrollably, he lifted his gaze. A shadow draped with a black cloak slowly walked towards them head-on. Straight and tall, it was a vague figure of a youth. The system said a few more words for once. Current opponent's anger points, 1000. Mission objective, survive. Tip complete, wishing you best of luck. Xiāng Tóngxiù. Airplane shooting towards the sky. Juju had a bad habit, which was cutting through outlines. Before he would officially set pen to paper, he would first plant little sprouts in his novel and watch how the winds were blowing in the review sections. Using this information, he would decide which plot lines to choose from his overall outline. For example, the Xiāng Tóngxiù who had been called a cheap person with no explanation 10,000 times was a tragic product of outline cutting. Oh, there was Bing Ge's dad, too. He was cut even more fiercely and didn't even get an appearance. The benefit of this method was reader service. At least it guaranteed they wouldn't make the big dive of subscribing only to crash to their death in the pond. The harms were that the buried foreshadowing would go to waste, loopholes all over the ground, full of potholes. Any readers who were slightly more stubborn, had a bit more taste, and weren't as easy to fool would rain curses on him without restraint. Airplane shooting towards the sky was often depressed about it, too. It was because of the fact that he didn't always like writing that crazy face slapping either, especially when it was always slapping the faces of a crowd of villains with IQs below the passing line. Once in a while, he also wanted to craft a three-dimensional villain, a cannon fodder with multiple sides, to show that he had also done some basic research on human nature, that he had also sought the literary ideal before. But the readers wouldn't buy it. It wouldn't guarantee that he could make a living. So, compared to the readers and making a living, what do human nature and literary ideals count for? Ha 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 ha. Back to the point. Precisely because of this bad habit, many of the original particulars were lost, doomed to suffocate before birth. For example, when did Mo Beijun captured Xiāng Tóngxiù? Naturally, the main text never brought it up. The main text's plotline was Bing Ge using tyranny, slaughtering and massacring all over the place. Who cares how this bastard cannon fodder became a spy? And the parts that were lost would be automatically filled in by in this universe. Therefore, Airplane Juju completely lost his author's advantage of foreknowledge. Therefore, when the plot began to develop, he was late by a good few beats before he entered the situation. Xiāng pulled his sword, as an Ending disciple, never having gotten a chance to unsheath their sword in 800 years, with a whoosh, yelling vigorously, "What sort of evildoer dares to cross us?" The crowd of disciples were each incessantly stirred up, subsequently pulling their swords and yelling in anger, "You dare to appear in front of Kangqiang Mountain disciples!" Mo Beijun was clearly in an exceptionally bad mood. He didn't even let the cannon fodders finish their conventional opening speech as cracks sounded out right away. A storm of icy arrows swept through the air and people slammed to the ground one by one. In Xiāng Tóngxiù's heart, one side of him was shrieking while the other was roaring, so formidable. But also so handsome. Really fucking handsome. However, even if he was a demonic deity handsome enough to startle the heavens and make the lands weep, if he was destined to be killed by him in the future, Xiāng Tóngxiù definitely wouldn't dare. Suddenly, Xiāng pushed at his shoulder. "Why aren't you moving?" Xiāng Tóngxiù's heart was like frying oil and roasting fire, but his mind was extremely sober. He stuck himself more securely onto the cart like chewing gum. "Move to do what?" Xiāng, defeat the demon and defend the righteous path, execute the Dao on behalf of heaven. "Why don't you go first?" Xiāng Tóngxiù said, "Xiāng, after you." Xiāng flew into a rage. "I told you to go, so go. What's all this nonsense?" Joining with the others, their hands peeled and feet kicked at Xiāng Tóngxiù. How couldn't he understand? This crowd of outer disciples just wanted him to stall Mo Beijun to give them time to fight for their own escape. His heart was as clear as a mirror, his current position was extremely secure. Firmly holding his base of operations and refusing to be moved, he sobbed, "Shixing, I don't want to. Our comrades will remember you had the heart to make me go be cannon fodder at this sort of time." Shixing began to ramble incoherently in terror. What cannon fodder? If you could defeat this demon race monster, you'll definitely have earned great merit, fly like the divine steed Fi Wang from now on. This is us outer disciples' only way out, it's right in front of your eyes at this very moment. Xiāng Tóngxiù realized he couldn't hold onto the cart much longer. He whimpered like his organs were being ripped apart. "I'll go, then. I'll really go." End chapter.